Hello War Selection community. In today's video I have a ranked match against Idefend. In my previous video I essentially played against him. He's a very defensive player and his strategy is quite unique. It's very unique and it has to be, to beat him you need to play differently. By this match I just want to focus down on his game style and what I tried to do during this match. Overall I lost against him this match, but I did learn quite a few points against him, which should give you some advice on how not to approach against him if you do encounter his strategy. Alright, so before we actually get to the opponent, let's start the surrounding a bit, because that's always important. I got a decent wood line at my base, good starting point. Got some wood on my east, got something in my north, got something in my west, and another northeast. So I got wood line, no problem. Food, I got a boar, 3 boars in my southwest, got mammoth in the east, in additional cows. I got cows in the west, so food is pretty clear, no problem at all. My opponent, good wood line, amazing. He has something in his east and in his west, so very clear in the wood line. Food, let's see if he has any fish. He has a lot of fish in his west, so that should be very useful to him. Alright, so let's talk about what he's going to do in the meanwhile. His goal is pretty standard. Actually no, the opposite of standard. He is trying to rush to the next age as fast as possible, but at the same time he has to make sure he has some defense measure against warriors, because he needs to make sure he's covered from both sides. Going to the next age is important, but without any warriors or slingers to defend yourself, you'll lose in the next 7 minutes. So in the first 7 minutes you're gonna get warriors attacking you. So what he does to cope around this is to make slingers, and he doesn't waste all of the upgrades. He just makes the slinger damage and the accuracy, and he makes some amount of slingers just to defend. So when you do send 20 warriors as the first wave, you do minimum damage. That's his main approach of how to defend against opponents. Alright, because I know his opponent that doesn't attack, then I did not do any attack in the early phase. I was focusing down, mainly going to the next age and preparing spearmen. That's my goal in this match, making spearmen. Now, of course, the same thing can be said that spearmen will lose against a huge amount of slingers, so that's also not the best way to approach him. So one strategy that I got advice from Zaita is to rush swordsman by 11 minutes and to attack him before he goes to medieval, because 30 swordsmen can beat him down a town hall very fast, and he can't repair it. So my goal is to briefly look his status at around 11 minutes, because that's important. Alright, so let's move the time a bit, because obviously I know that he is going to rush to the next age as fast as he can. He got amazing wood apparently, very amazing. He is a big. You can go to the next stage, just need to upgrade workers, and that's fine. Yeah. Alright, so he's making a bit more workers or not. Yeah, he's going to. He delayed a bit. He should have gone next stage before a minute ago. That's fine. Now he's going to Iron Age. So apparently he will be in Iron Age in about 11 minutes. So that means I have 2 minutes or 3 minutes if you take into account next stage. So 3 to 4 minutes, before 15 minutes essentially, to take him down with swordsman. I got up to 15 minutes before swordsman become, roughly 15 minutes. So up to 15 minutes is my time period I can use swordsman to take him down. Now let's look at his town hall defenses. That's a 3.4 average, and swordsmen do about 14, I believe. Yeah, 14. Or maybe more. I think more, but I don't remember the exact numbers. They do a lot of damage. So 30 swordsmen before 15 minutes should be more than possible. More than possible. The strategy is making swordsmen by 11 minutes, right? So yeah, should be accessible. Alright. So yeah, that's a possible strategy against him, because if I have an entrance to his base, hopefully I have an entrance to his base. If I can get into his base, wait, can I take the wall down? Maybe this one will be a bit difficult, but I can take the houses. Yeah, the houses I can. So even if he was in this situation, before 15 minutes, coming with swordsman, take down the house, and straight away go to the town hall and destroy it with warrior swordsman. That should be enough to beat him down. Yeah, that sounds like a very reasonable strategy against him. But it's also unconventional, because you need to make sure your opponent doesn't attack you in that time frame, right? If your opponent attacks you in that time frame, then you won't use the swordsman, right? Usually Asia players, they use Stone Age, and in the Stone Age they use warriors, and those warriors continue on in the Bronze Age. That's the standard, that's the meta, and that's completely fine. That's what most people do, and it works very good, and people enjoy it. I also enjoy it. I also enjoy using it, even though I'm Europe. I also enjoy using warriors. It's very fun to come into an opponent base, do mayhem, do some fighting in the early stage. It's something that I enjoy to do, and hopefully I can continue doing it. But the most important thing is that this opponent brings out hidden rule by doing different strategy for Asia. Asia is very easy economy management, so you don't waste off economy on military, and you can continue on to the next stage pretty easily. So my problem is that if I cannot take him down before he goes to medieval, yeah, then I can't force a fight on him an equal spot, because my economy as Europe will also always be in a struggle. To make an army, just to beat Asia army, requires a lot of economy, and he can just produce them very fast, which just means I don't have any advantage. That's the problem there. If I don't have any advantage, then I would lose over time, and that's what happens in this match. I didn't beat him down before the medieval, so even though I have one tower there, and I'm gonna make more towers there, and sure, I have many I have some shooting range and forts, so I can experiment in archers. Even with all that, even if my army has a more quality associated with them, he can still produce them in mass and go to the next stage easily, because his army is cheap. That's the biggest advantage that Asia has compared to Europe, and because he never went full on aggressive mode on me, so his economy was always stable. His army was stable because they only recouped their number and not overwhelmed me with their number, if you get the point. He doesn't use his army to engage, he uses them to delay my economy. He uses them to force me to make an army just to make sure he doesn't push me. he wants to push. He wants to push, but he doesn't want to spend all of the economy. So he makes siege, and he just plays defensive. He's doing a passive aggressive kind of strategy. So that means he knows that he can win in the Industrial Revolution, but I cannot go to Industrial Revolution as fast as he is, because that's going to cost me a lot of economy. So surely I can go to late Middle Ages, but by that time, Englishman, by that time, he will be in IR, and that's exactly what happens in every game I play against him. So he knows that by the time he's in IR, he will have some time to stabilize his economy, and also to make sure he can make the particular units that will beat me down. Because even if I manage to get to IR, by that time he is going to be stable. His economy will be stable, and that will guarantee a situation which I don't like. That means that my economy might be stable after a while, but I will have to be constantly under pressure from IR units. Now he does differently. He goes to Japan in ranked. Now the reason for that is because he knows that at best I'll be IR when he's stable with everything he needs, but my buildings will not. So most of my buildings will still be in medieval. And that implies that he can use Japan Fugos to engage on me. And those Fugos, trust me on that, they go boom. And they go boom on every building, and they do 1 dime, 1 damage. So they go boom and destroy that building. So Guardian Towers, one of the most tankiest towers in the game, they go down with the Fugo balloons. And you can't stun those Fugo balloons with medieval units. You need rangers or anti-aircraft units, which I won't have any access so fast. So that means all my front base will be gone. All my buildings in my base will also be gone. Particularly military buildings, naturally. That will be his main focus. Then houses or the forge, stuff like that. And you can make them in mass, the Fugos. And although they travel slow, like I said, he has time. It doesn't mean he can't do other stuff in the meanwhile. He can make soldiers, he can make light, I forgot their names. The siege units that Japan has in IR 1. Although they're not particularly good, but if your opponent doesn't have anything to beat them, it's essentially over for the opponent. So for me, I won't be able to take a defense, because that's a 2-front, the air and ground. That's not something I can manage. And this is just a fight, as you can see here. I'm just trying to make a defense against him, trying to make sure he doesn't push me. But naturally, my economy is not stable. His economy is stable. He can continue making an army. My economy is not. I'm not even late in the wages. Yeah, it's very difficult to fight against him when we get to that stage. So the only time period that I have to beat Idefend is below 15 minutes. Anything after 15 minutes is impossible. Just impossible. Or at least very, very difficult. It will require a lot of effort, and I'll have to make sure I do some damage to his economy. Otherwise, I will not be able to cope up. And in this case, if you look at his base, you can definitely see that these buildings are blocking everything in the path. So cavalry will not get in. So that's a big no-no. I can't go into his base to harass. And at the same time, someone might argue, well, I can attack from the sea. So the thing is, by the time I want to attack from the sea, let's say I want to attack him in early Middle Ages. What can I actually get in early Middle Ages? I can only attack around this section with siege boats, which is not bad. I'll destroy a lot of his houses, some military buildings, so it gives me some breathing time. Naturally I can harass his economy at the front there, but he can make junks, and junks are very fast produced, and he's not gonna give me time to produce those kind of stuff in the beginning, right? It costs economy that I don't have. So what about late Middle Ages units? It has the same issues, and he can just make junks. All of the times he makes junks just as a precaution, check if his opponent has anything in his front. So he has everything pretty much covered, if you think about it. So yeah, one time against him in one of the games against him, he made the balloons, the Fugo balloons that go boom. After a while, he would probably start making them in the front and sending them to me slowly, one by one, and destroy my buildings, and I won't be able to stop them. Because, as you can see, I'm not even late Middle Ages. I am going eventually to late Middle Ages, but it's not gonna matter. He's already IR, and I'm just struggling to maintain an economy against him, because it's cost a lot to make an army. And I don't think I have a bad economy. I got, I think, 18 a bit workers, more than 80, and that's not enough to maintain an economy for Europe. That's how unbalanced Europe economy and army is. Making an army and stabilizing economies just doesn't work for Europe. Making units a bit cheaper for Europe may help a lot. But the current state, I don't think that's not something that developers are gonna do. Because most of the Asia players, what they do is they don't go full on next age like this dude, so there is some difference. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Essentially I'm gonna surrender in about a minute. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do encounter this opponent in ranked, first thing you need to do is scout, it's important. Make sure you find out if the opponent is making pits, and then check if he's making slingers or warriors. If he's making warriors, then it's a normal dude that's making the warrior rush, and you know, you need to prepare against that. But if it's the dude that's making slingers, then you need to prepare that he might not engage on you. So a very good option is rush Iron Age and make swordsman. You need to do that because you need to get to the medieval. You need to make sure your opponent dies before medieval. If you're Europe, that is. If you're Europe, then you need to make sure he dies before that time. Otherwise, you're gonna have a very tough game. Another thing, if you're going in Asia, then that's different, because then you can just maintain your. I mean, you can just do the same thing as he is, right? You can just make an army and go to the next stage, and the opponent that takes down the economy first kind of wins, because you can just push in more and more, but the opponent can't. So it's about who dominates the economy of the opponent in that situation. But yeah, that's about it. That's about it for this video. Hope you had a good one. Have a good weekend. If you like this video, consider subscribing to my channel, commenting, liking, and all the good stuff. Alright, I'll see you in the next one. See ya!